Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners to order. Thank you. We are going to start out with prayer and pledge. So we'll go to Commissioner Miedema to get us started.
Dear Lord, I just want to say thank you for this day, for all the people in our county. I want to thank you for the staff, for my fellow board members. I ask, Lord, that you would be present here with us as you tell us in your word, where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, there you will also be. Give us ears to hear and words that are from you. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. All right, just please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Stands. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Cosby. Mrs. Ebel.
Here.
Mr. Zylstra.
Here.
Mr. Bonema.
Here.
Mr. Moss.
Here.
Mrs. Curran.
Here.
Mrs. Rhodey.
Here.
Mr. Belknap.
Here.
Mr. Bergman.
Here.
Mrs. Miedema.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you.
I believe Gretchen's attending online as well. If she's
I am online. I just can't vote.
All right, we are going to move past correspondence and go to public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to approval of the agenda. I get a motion to approve the agenda, please. Move.
Second.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. We have no consent resolutions today, so we're going to move right to our agenda items. And so we have 2 to consider today. We're here to select applicants to interview on Friday. And so far, the county has received 11 applications. There actually were a couple more that the people didn't live in the district, didn't qualify. But we thank everyone who has applied. And so what we're going to do is first, we're going to select the number of applicants to interview. And then after that, we're going to select by roll call vote the names of the people who we would like to see interviewed on Friday. So all this information has been sent to the board before today, like we talked about, all the application details and kind of how we're moving forward. So if I could get a motion to select 5 applicants to interview for District 6 Commissioner on December 8th, 2023.
So moved.
Support. All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none,
Just a quick question,
Commissioner
Chairman
Belknap,
Moss.
thank you.
Just is the number of how many, based upon how many applicants we have, selecting 5 for interview, is that really mainly for, why 5, I guess? That's
Good question. We've looked at kind of historical things that have been done in the past, gotten advice from various people. And really what we're trying to do is begin to narrow down all of the applicants so we can try to, kind of work together as a board to determine, not only who we want to interview, but then who we want to appoint. We're going to assume even if the interviews are all fairly standard or similar, they are going to be, maybe a half hour each or something. And so 5 is, the recommendation.
okay. It's a full day's effort to interview 5 individuals.
It'll take some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
All opposed, and that motion carries. Okay, so next up, we have a suggested motion to select by roll call vote the applicant names to move forward to interview. Each board member will vote for their preferred 5 names and the clerk will calculate the results. Could I get a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and support. And double checking with the clerk, I spoke to Justin. Okay, great. Okay, so we're kind of prepared ahead of time to be able to figure out who which names will receive the highest number of votes. Okay. Okay, we're going to do it by roll call. Before we go to a vote, does anybody have any other questions, any discussion, anything they'd like to share? I know all the resumes, applications were in the packet, so I hope everyone had, time to review them, contact applicants. Commissioner Ebel.
So basically, all we're gonna do is just name 5 people that we want to bring back for those interviews. Is that correct?
Yes, similar to how we do the talent and recruitment selection. Yes, yes. Yeah. One difference is that in this process, there's not recommendations from anyone. It is that everyone's just listed alphabetical by last name. Yeah. I had some questions on that. Was the chair or someone going to recommend people, but that is not how we're doing it today. Commissioner Belknap.
Just a comment, grateful that, we had more than 11 that were interested and submitted information, and even those that weren't in the district. So just a thank you and, appreciative of, time and effort putting, an application into this process. Lots of broad experience out there and interest.
Yeah, Commissioner Bonema.
I just want to mention that the Terpstras are celebrating that they're adding to their family. So we wish Kyle all the best as he's going to be a daddy again, number 3 for them. So if he's listening out there, we're cheering you on as you grow your family, Kyle.
I guess I'll add, I had a lot of great conversations with the applicants. I was able to reach everyone except one person. Really interesting to hear, varied backgrounds and input. That was so far my favorite part about this process. Anything else? Any other comments? Okay, I guess I'll include one last comment. One of the things I appreciate is I did reach out to the chair of the Ottawa County Republican Party, and he provided some helpful information. So I'd like to thank him. And if there's nothing else, then we'll go to the vote by roll call.
Mr. Belknap,
I'm gonna rank order mine alphabetically, so there's no prioritization. Buck, Jansen, McCarter, Pio, Wenzel.
Mrs. Curran,
Pio, Buck, Pembroke, McCarter, and Wenzel.
Mr. Bonema,
Kelly Cole, Pio, Half, Scripsma, and Vanderkolk.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Joel Buck, Sean Half, Lynn Jansen, Joseph Parnell McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel.
Mr. Zylstra,
Kelly Cole, Caden Hembro, Joseph McCarter, Daniel Scripsma, and Roger Vanderclock.
Mrs. Medema,
Joel Buck, Sean Half, Lynn Jansen, Joseph Parnell McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel.
Mrs. Ebel,
Joe Buck. Jaden Hembrock. Lynn Jansen. Kendra Wenzel. And Joseph Parnell McCarter.
Mr. Bergman,
Kelly Cole. Caden Hembro. Daniel Scripsma. Roger Vanderclock. And Joseph McCarter.
Mr. Moss,
Joel Buck, Sean Half, Lynn Jansen, Joseph McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel.
Six votes for Buck. Joel Buck, 3 votes for Kelly Call, 3 votes for George Edwin Pio, 4 votes for Sean Half, 4 votes for Caden Hembro, 5 votes for Lynn Jansen, 8 votes for Joseph Parnell McCarter, 3 votes for Daniel Scripsma, 0 votes for David Van Clee, 3 votes for Roger Vanderclock, and 6 votes for Kendra Wenzel. Do you need me to call the winners, or not winners, but the applicants that you'll interview, or?
So we may need to do a second round.
Okay,
Looks like we have 7, or Joseph McCarter with 8. Kendra Wenzel with 6, Joel Buck with 6. And Lynn Jansen. And then a tie
So we should do a revote.
between
Sean and
Sean and Caden.
okay. Yeah.
Well, so this was one of the risks of doing it this way, is that there might not be an obvious winner. So I guess I would look to feedback from the board on how you want to handle it, either a re-vote or that would be cleanest, or we,
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
may I recommend 3 votes out of the 6?
Say again?
So there's 4 plus 2 sitting at 5, right? So there's 6 applicants for 5 spots. Maybe we pick our top 3 out of those 6.
Commissioner Rhodey?
I think we could just revote, and then if it ends up being a tie again, we can figure out something different.
Or
For the all 5 names again.
if we have a tie.
Could
why
just
don't-
revote on
Why don't we
the
vote on those?
5th person
Yeah,
that are
I
tied
agree
at
with that.
4. So just
Yeah.
revote on those 2
on
people.
Caden and
I agree.
Sean, and then just do one vote. We pick one of those 2, and then whoever gets the most votes goes through.
I agree.
That's
Any-
what I was gonna say too. Just
So,
those
so
2.
the
Yeah.
suggestion is to select the top 4 and then to re-vote between Sean and Caden.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Maintain the top 4.
Is that a motion? Do we need a motion for that or not?
That's a good question.
I move,
I don't think so. We're still running the roll call.
Okay.
So we
That's
don't need
fine.
another motion. And what's the 4th?
I
Who
can
is
do
the
it just
4th person?
It's
So Kendra, Joseph,
Commissioner Rhodey, did you have something, an actual motion you wanted?
I'll do a motion just
Okay.
to be sure of the process. So I move to do a roll call vote with the applicant names of Sean Huff and Kadam Hembro to determine the fifth candidate to be interviewed on Friday.
Second.
May I throw one more idea out?
Yep, time for discussion. Go for it.
Thanks. Why don't we interview 6?
I was going to suggest the same thing. Yep. So that sounds like an amendment. Oh, Commissioner Rhodey.
We could, but we did already vote on 5, so we would have to correct something.
True.
A motion to reconsider the previous motion to select 5 applicants.
How about Commissioner Rhodey? Oh, Commissioner Cosby has her hand raised. You want to unmute Commissioner Cosby?
There we go. Just a recommendation, why don't you vote on the 2 at 4? And if you go to a tie, then potentially just do 6 then make the amendment.
I agree.
Okay, that sounds good.
I agree.
Okay, so we need to make sure we're handling your motion, Commissioner Rhodey. So sorry, could you repeat it, please?
Sure, I will try to. I move to vote again on Sean Haff and Kaden Hembro as a potential 5th candidate to interview on Friday.
Okay, and there was support on that.
Second.
Did you second it, Commissioner Curran?
Supported it.
Okay. Okay, so, we're kind of in a unique situation because we're in the middle of a motion and now we have an amended motion. So, would you be willing to kind of update your motion to also include the previous 4 that were voted for?
Yes. Okay, so
I believe what
Can you-
you're,
why don't I go back to the original motion and then include this one? So I move to select by roll call vote the applicant names to move forward to interview. Each board member will vote for the preferred 5 names and the clerk will calculate the results. In the first vote, candidates Joel Buck, Lynn Jansen, Joseph Parnell McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel were selected as the top 4 candidates with the most votes. In the second vote, we will consider Sean Haff and Kaden Hembro as the 5th candidate to be interviewed.
we go to corporate counsel on that, make sure it sounds good.
Use your mic,
Right,
your mic.
right.
Sorry. The only thing is you're amending the original
Right.
motion
Right.
with
Is
the added verbiage.
it cleaner to just amend that motion to 6? Well, except we have to go back and redo our first vote.
Yeah.
But
Your motion was,
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yeah, Commissioner Bergman.
the original motion has already been voted on.
right,
So we're dealing with a second motion. We're not dealing with the first motion anymore. We don't need
you don't
to
need.
deal
the
with that first
extra.
motion.
Okay,
We
I
just
would-
need to deal with these 2 individuals.
Yeah.
I withdraw my update.
that helps. Thank you, Commissioner Bergman. Thank you, Commissioner Rhodey. So she's withdrawn that motion and now we are at the final roll call. Commissioner Miedema.
Do we need to take a look at Robert's rules before we proceed, just to be sure?
I don't think so. No, no, it will definitely operating by the will of the board. And so we've voted on the motion by roll call and now are left with 2 more names. And so I guess I will move that the board will vote for one of the 2 remaining names that received the highest votes between Sean Haff and Kaden Hembro by stating one of the names.
I'll second that.
Okay, all right. So we have a motion and support. And so we will proceed by voting for one of those 2 names. Is there any discussion before we do so?
Are we voting on this motion or are we voting on
You have
names
to vote to
already?
approve the motion or no?
We'll vote as we did before, as we have historically with talent, where you're voting with a name. And the clerk will calculate the results.
I think he's wondering if we have to first approve that process.
I think you just
Yeah,
vote in
you
the
made a
motion that
motion.
Roger
We
seconded.
gotta approve. it.
Okay,
And then we can go to the names.
all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Okay, all right. Any commentary on Sean Half or Caden Hembrow? Okay, then I guess I will, we'll go to the clerk for a roll call vote.
Mr. Belknap,
Sean Half,
Mrs. Curran,
Half.
Mr. Bonema,
Half.
Mrs. Rhodey,
Yeah.
Mr. Zylstra,
Pembroke.
Mrs. Medema,
Half.
Mrs. Ebel,
Half.
Mr. Bergman,
Bro.
Mr. Moss,
Sean Half.
7 votes for Half, Sean Half, and 2 votes for Hembrow. Hayden Hembrow.
Okay, could the clerk please review the top 5?
So we have Joel Buck, Sean Half, Lynn Jansen, Joseph Parnell McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel.
Okay, thank you. One final motion then, just to memorialize that, and make sure everything is clear, since we had several motions. I will just motion that we do move forward and interview the 5 names that the clerk just read. Joel Buck, Sean Half, Lynn Jansen, Joseph McCarter, and Kendra Wenzel.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. So we do not have any committee reports. So that brings us to the next round of public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? It looks like we may have someone online.
Marla, are
Hello?
you?
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my call. This is Marla Walters. I live in Holland Township. I just wanted to quickly thank the commissioners who voted to table the motion to change the HR policies until they've been reviewed by legal counsel. And I don't think it's not only, I mean, being concerned about liability is huge, but I also think HR should be involved so that a balance of power is maintained. One person, with a singular focus can act emotionally, and that's not always in the best interest of the community. So I think from my viewpoint, I think we've seen enough pride and revenge getting in the way of sound judgment at times. And I think it's important for us to let go of some of that ego and grievances so that we can begin the task of making our county run smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have no additional business. There's no one else online for public comment, right? Okay. Okay. I'd like to thank again everyone who has applied for District 6. We'll really look forward to the interviews. We're going to do them in public on Friday. Look forward to hearing from everyone. And seeing as we've reached the end of the agenda, I'll call this meeting adjourned.